Yep, it definitely is the new world order of football. Welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vasic. You can find me on X at hashtag Kangas, Instagram hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Tonight, I'm joined by my regular Monday guest, Jesse. Unfortunately, no Mark tonight. He didn't watch. He was obviously very busy yesterday. Couldn't watch the football, so he's watching a replay tonight. So he didn't feel right to come on if he didn't watch it. Thanks for coming on tonight, Jesse. Now, this is unusual. Not that we are here to review a win, but a big win. I can't remember the last time where we knew halfway through the last quarter that we're going to get a comfortable victory. When was the last time you remember something like this, Jesse? The only time I could think of was during the COVID time when we beat Carlton.
Beat Adelaide, yeah.
Or maybe in Gold Coast, I suppose.
Yeah, you're probably Gold
the Harley
Coast.
Reid. Yeah, that's probably the last one. But outside of that, it's been slim pickings.
Look, I'll put it this way, mate. I was sitting there in the last quarter when we were 50 points up, nervous.
It gets like that, doesn't it?
I had North fans around me, and they're talking about, are we home? And they're like, I don't feel home. And I turned around and said, mate, I saw us give up 10 goals in a half to Collingwood last year. I go, I'm not until there's less minutes than there are goals left. I'm nervous.
Yeah, I was with my wife, and she brought the family to the footy, and we kicked the first goal last quarter. She goes, we should hang on now. We're only 4 goals up. I go, are you serious? And I started having a go at her but then we kicked the next 4 in the next 4 minutes. So,
wow, that's it.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Now, we had some outstanding individual performance, so we will get to them all or as many as we can. But this is the game where I felt some players announced themselves in the competition. Tom Powell played a career-best game with 31 disposals. People are coming at us in socials about Tom Powell. Tristan Sherry dominating Max Gawn. Paul Curtis with 22 disposals, 3 goals. Robert Hanson looked like Cyril Rioli on some occasions. Charlie Comben with 8 intercept marks. Not to get too carried away, but it felt like a statement win to the competition, didn't it, Jesse?
Yeah, you know what I think the big thing for me was? I was really disappointed coming out of the Footscray game because there was a big part of me that felt like we should have won that game. We were really poor in that first quarter, but after that we were good. But we just made silly mistakes and we couldn't get ourselves back into it. I saw a lot of the same things that I saw last week in this week's game. But what I saw was the things we did wrong last week, we didn't do this week as bad. We tweaked a lot of things. The big one, which was called out all over the social media, was we dominated the clearance last week, killed the doggies in the middle, but could not score from clearance. This week, we scored something like 54. It was almost half our score from clearance.
Yeah.
I had a look at today at the stats of all the teams. We are double. I know it's only 2 games, 3 games for some club. We are double the next club for score from centre bounce as an origin point. The rest are all half back. That's where most get their score from, coming off the half back line. It's just absurd. It was just an absolute statement, especially by the midfield. Their delivery was much better. I thought the forward line gelled perfectly. The back line, look, I'll put it out there. I think we were all a bit worried when Toby Pink's name came up. And look, he did some silly things. The deliberate was a bit rough, but that kick across the goal, poor. But he took some big marks as well, I thought. I thought he had some solid defensive efforts. He took a couple really good intercept marks. It was that holding the ball. He got one of the blokes in the back line.
Yeah.
I thought he was really solid. I was really worried when Arch, and I'm going to give him a bit of a talk, is Luke McDonald. You won't look at his game statistically and say he had a good game. He gave Bailey Fritsch a bath.
Yeah, he did.
Fritsch was a non-talking point.
Well, you wouldn't even know he played, to be honest.
He just had that goal from a free kick where he kicked it after the siren in the first quarter. But after that, nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't even see him for the rest of the game. So, look, it was a really fantastic effort. The biggest thing that I was proud of is, a lot of the things we were critical for last week, I felt like we addressed them. And then that last quarter was just everything clicked. It was the Collingwood game all over again. Just we left it to the last quarter, which was good because it means we could just power them. But everything just clicked. The ball movement clicked. The midfield was working in unison with each other. We just absolutely demolished them in the contest. So look, it was a pretty positive thing to see.
Well, even Simon Goodwin said we smashed them in the contest and beat them on the outside after that. I mean, the midfield, yeah, we'll talk about them now. We'll talk about them later as well. But we're not just getting clearances now like in previous years, Jesse, as well. It feels like we're getting clean clearances where players are getting into space and they can deliver the ball inside forward 50. Whereas in previous years, it was more just a hack kick forward and, yeah, hoping for the best. Whereas now we seem to be getting these there seems to be a really good synergy in it, and it's led by Tristan Sherry, of course. But whoever's in there, Parker, Sheasel, LDU, and a number of others. There's obviously we'll talk about Will Phillips as well. But yeah, whoever's in there, they seem to be working really well together, and we're getting clearances in the space. And you've seen that in last quarter, 2 or 3 absolutely amazing clearances, and yeah, it gives the forwards first option, and the forward lines just start taking advantage of it too.
Oh, look, 100%. And I think some of the things I'm really proud of, just looking at the stats, the differential, we're rated second in the comp for tackles. Tackles inside 50, still a bit lower, but our tackles is just incredible. That says to me that, they're putting effort in, they're really crashing in. But yeah, our scoring from stoppage, which was poor the first week, we're averaging 14 scores per game from stoppage. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's not going to keep up, but yeah. So
No.
far,
Look, you're always going to have your off days, and I think you're going to have days where you got much better midfields that you're unable to be, you kind of, you're not going to get hold of. But I mean, we're third in the comp for clearances. We're second in the comp for centre clearances. I mean, 2 games, really solid midfield effort. I think, look, the difference was this week that we were able to score from stoppage. And that was the biggest thing for me, is that we were able to score from stoppage. Because, we were critical about it. Everyone was pretty much critical about it. Yeah. And I used an example, and not to punch them while they're down, but I'll punch them because they're down. The Bombers, all right. So centre clearances, we're averaging 11.5 scores per game from centre clearance. They're averaging a negative 10 on the differential compared to their opponent. This is a team that is ranked second in the comp for clearance. They're ahead of us by 1. So we can be critical of what we did the previous week. I know we were talking 2 games here, but we're talking about 2 teams that are contested. That's what they build their game around. They can't score from it. We could. So it highlights what everyone said. It's all good to be dominant in the middle, but you need to translate that into score.
Inflatable cactus has come in. We are back, baby. Obviously, given the 2 fingers is from the lady in the crowd. That it's become quite a trend on social media.
Well, North ran with it.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Just put the thumbs up over it. I love it.
Yeah, that's right. Pat's come in as well. Patrick Allwood always comes in. Our biggest score from stoppage since stats collected. Kingy said so. I think that was this morning.
Yeah. I heard Kingy and Corns talking this morning about it, and Kingy said that he went all the way back to 99. Could not find another time that we scored that much from centre clearance. It was absurd. It was absurd. It was everything we did wrong that first week. They just came out and said we're not doing that.
Yeah, well, back in the 90s we had Carey, and now we've got Jack Darling. So Jesse, so yeah, that's it's pretty like for like, really. There's not much difference between.
Well, hey, I mean, look, I'll eat humble pie on that one.
I said no. He's washed. What are we getting in for? But he's been
not only did he kick 2 goals, we're talking about a guy who his body work on defensive players.
He's a smart player.
What he's doing is incredible. You can't tell me that Zerha kicked 1-4 last week. If he kicked straight last week, he'd be 4 ahead on the Coleman. He's making Zerha look like, I don't know, you name him. Who's Toby Green. We'll go with him. He's making him look like Toby Green at his peak. He's making Larky look like Wayne Carey, and he's making Paul Curtis look like Eddie Betts. And it completely changes the mold of the forward line. The other thing that he does really well, you just said that before, which is spot on. His body work is so good that when the ball does get bombed in long, he's able to body. Either he's able to take a good contested mark, or he's able to body someone out so like he's got every chance of taking the mark. It makes such a big difference having him in the side. It's just it makes more than the difference that I ever thought it would.
Yeah, definitely. Look, he knows when to use his body. He knows when to protect space. It's one of the smart. He's one of the smartest players I've seen that forward line for a very, very long time. We seem to have a good history of getting players at 30 years old.
Oh, it's Jared Waite 2.0.
Yeah, Nick Dalsano and all these players. So, yeah, but Pat's come in. If you kick 4-1, we would be 2-0.
Well, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. We would be 2-0 right now, and we'd be on. Well, it doesn't really matter. We're on cloud 9 anyway, but yeah, we would have been on cloud 10. It would have been.
Yeah, we would have been talking about flags, but we probably will anyway by the end of it. So.
I mean, I think most of us walked away from last week thinking we lost that game as opposed to the Doggies won it. Not to take any disrespect away from any respect away from the Doggies, but I felt like we lost that game. This game, they were not going to lose. They were hungry, and the D's, they've got their problems, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, the synergy was between midfield, not to harp on them, but the synergy between midfield and forward was like watching us for probably 3 or 4 years there. It was just nothing.
It was terrible, wasn't it?
And one player that excelled at that one, and it felt like the role of Charlie Common playing an intercept player this week as opposed to playing a lockdown defender on Sam Darcy really worked wonders, not playing on a key forward like a Darcy. He was matched up on Kay Chandler a lot, who had a good game, but we're quite happy for him to push up the ground and get his possessions. He's not going to damage you. Like getting Kay Chandler, that's fine. He played very loose, and I think that's something we may have to look at in the future as best as we can, depending on matches. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously you got the Crows, you got the 3 tall forwards. So that's going to be a different sort of challenge.
Plus, they throw Curtin forward. Oh God! I wish we were playing any other team this week. I would be confident against almost any other team this week. But the Crows look scary.
They do, but
but it's a great.
It's not a bad time to get challenged.
No, while you're confident, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. While you've got a bit of confidence. So but I loved his role anyway, Jesse. 8 intercept marks. He dropped a couple there in the second quarter, but it didn't dent his confidence at all. Yeah, and that's the most important thing. He still kept putting himself in good spots, and he's looking all Australian, isn't he, at the moment?
Well, everyone was very critical of him last week, but he, in hindsight, the Doggies really took it up to the Pies, and Sam Darcy was looking like a generational forward. So maybe he did a better job than we thought he did. But I 100% agree with you. If he can play on the least damaging forward, the problem with the Doggies were there was always going to be a dangerous forward up there. So we were kind of stuffed either which way. Against Melbourne, I mean, they were running 3 talls, but it didn't really work. They had Van Ruin, obviously. They played DJ Turner. Was he's pretty tall. He'd be mid Jack Darling size probably.
Yeah, he'd probably be 192 or something like that. So.
Yeah, I think he would be. Yeah, he'd probably be about that, wouldn't he? Look, as you said, there's obviously Cade up there, who again, look, he had a fantastic game, but it wasn't gonna
it's not gonna hurt.
Smash you. And the other one was they had Matt Jefferson, who's a kid who did nothing.
He got injured. He fractured his hand.
Yeah,
I think he came on. I think he might have come on or off as a sub, but they said he fractured his hand. That was the message after the game. He didn't touch the ball, so that happens.
Yeah.
They were obviously missing a couple of players too, which hurt him. But we're not worried.
Yeah, I think him going out obviously helped the thing, but. Him being probably more the point I was saying, if he was in there, yes, you'd have to be accountable for him. But because he's a young forward, you can take a little bit of liberty. And it would have meant that Com still would have been able to get off and intercept. I don't know how we manufacture that against the Crows this week without rejigging the back line and bringing another of the tall defenders in.
Well, maybe Logue might be fit this week. So.
Because they will play the 3 tall forwards plus Curtin's been getting up the ground. So they're going to play effectively 4 tall forwards. So we're going to have to work out how we deal with that.
Yeah, we'll worry about that. We'll talk a bit more about that later. Patrick came in. That's why Pink came in to release Charlie Common. I might as well talk about Pink. I mean, we're questioning his selection, but I watched the VFL. You were watching it as well. And watching those defenders, they seem to struggle in the first half against the Fullerton. Especially Colin Dawson. I thought, he's a good chance to come in. He's a solid player. But he seemed to struggle a little bit in the VFL. So I think they made the right choice by bringing Pink in. He did a couple of nice things. Obviously, the
Yeah.
kick with the turnover hurt a little bit at the time, but that happens. That comes with the territory. And I think he was quite solid.
Yeah, I thought he was. He did some good things at holding the ball that he was able to get.
Yeah.
Look, he gave away 2 goals effectively. One was that kick across goal, which, you know what, I've seen better players do that. So he made a mistake.
Yeah.
You live with that. The deliberate was a little bit rough. It probably was technically there, but a bit rough. He kicked a goal from the boundary. You probably don't expect him to do that. So look, a bit rough, but I thought his defensive efforts were solid. I thought he was able to contribute in a defensive method. You know, I thought he was pretty decent. And you are right. I watched the VFL as well, and yeah, Cal Dawson didn't really inspire me. Will Dawson looks like he's just building up fitness. Obviously coming
His
back
second
from
half was
injury.
good off.
Yeah, he worked himself into it. I thought Whitlock was the pick of the tall defenders.
Yeah,
he
he
ended
was
up
good.
having 15, 16. I think he was the second.
I think he had 19 touches.
Yeah, or 20 almost. He was the second rated highest North player on the ground after Zach Fisher. So he, look, a good
I think
sign
it's just
from
the
Whitlock,
size
but he's a
thing
bit
with
young.
him. He looks a bit raw. That's all it is. I think he needs to fill out a little bit more.
And I think if I watched the Bombers game and, they've got young Reed, who's a few seasons in, but they've been injured, and he got absolutely ragdolled by the Crows forward. So you wouldn't be bringing Whitlock in, but it was good signs. But yeah, look, Pink, absolutely solid. Was happy with that.
Inflatable Cactus, seeing Jesse not grump is different.
This is full of gin.
No, that's a good little sledge there by Inflatable Cactus. Now we have to give praise to Luke McDonald. He kept Bailey Fritsch to just the 4 touches. I mean, he has copped his critics, and it's not just been us or anything like that. It's questioned his spot in the team. There's been a lot of people that have come on socials. But you have to praise him when he plays like that, don't you? Like, you have to give credit where credit's due, and sometimes you just have to eat humble pie.
Oh, absolutely. Look, we were talking about it before we joined. He did a fantastic job on Bailey Fritsch. He kicked a goal, Bailey, but that was after the first quarter, and it was a bit dubious of a free kick really situation. But he did a number.
I thought he marked it. Didn't he mark it?
Yeah, I think it was a free in the middle that led to it. There was something.
Okay,
there was a passage of play that was just. It was frustrating. I remember being annoyed, and then they flipped the ball forward. So that was that was impressive for him to have a good number on him after that. He's gonna and McDonald will obviously have to get the job on Rankin or Rochelle this week. So that's going to be a great challenge for him.
Yeah, he seems to. If you give him a task or that, he's generally not too bad when you give him a job. It's more when he's told to play a certain role. Well, you've got to intercept or get the ball.
Just defend,
so
Luke. Just defend. Tag. Just tag him.
Yeah, exactly right. Caleb Daniel, outstanding again. 31 touches, probably half of them from kick-ins, but still, like his ball use. I know there's a few turnovers. There was particularly in the first half, but some of his kicks, like that, he just opens up the play.
Yeah.
And he's been nothing like 778 meters game, but he's a good defender too, Jesse. I think that gets lost a little bit in all this.
Yeah, spot on.
7 intercepts, 1 intercept mark. He'll do a job for you, even though he's quite small. I mean, we talked about Jack Darling and singing his praises, but this guy's just been just as good to me.
No, spot on. I thought he played a good defensive game. He made a few mistakes, holding the ball. Some of his kicking was a bit wayward, but I mean, that's probably us just holding him to a really high standard when, traditionally half the North players kick like that. His kicking is elite. There was a few hiccups, but I mean, that's a positive thing for me, is that he hasn't 100% got into his rhythm yet. It's a little bit like, and I know we'll probably talk about him, but it's a little bit like Sheasel, who's been doing a lot of turnover kicks the last couple of weeks and making.
He had 8 turnovers on a weekend.
Yeah, he made a lot of mistakes. So we're talking about Sheasel as being probably the least effective of the midfielders, and yet he still had a decent game. We've still got players who aren't playing great, who we know have got a really good level at them. So once they get into gear, look out.
It generally happens early in the year. There's a lot more turnovers. Players get more tired quicker. Once they build that fitness and get through the course of the year, it sort of settles itself out a bit more. We'll go through the midfield, and Tom Powell. I mean, his first half, we talked about him. I think it might have been off air. 21 possessions. He finished with 31, 8 clearances, 10 scoring involvements, 12 contested possessions, 1 goal, 2 goal assists, a couple of crucial clearances in the last quarter. Ricky Mangides did a great article about him as well. We've been waiting a long time for this game, haven't we? Like, we kind of know it was there. He's been flirting with us almost for those last few years. But this is the game. I think we're going to see him take it to the next level, and he could be an A-grade midfielder in this competition.
Yeah, I tweeted this today. I think, if you listened to the last few years, I was a big advocate of Powell and Phillips. We'll focus on Powell today, but I was a big advocate of Powell. I love what I see with him. It was very interesting because last week he had 55% of the CBAs. He only got 3 clearances from that, had the 4 score involvements. And I think the big difference is that this week, 48, so slightly less CBA, but he had the 8 clearances, the 10 score involvements, and the 2 goal assists. So his impact was substantially higher. You could see he cleaned up his game. I thought he cleaned up his game. He was much more effective with ball in hand, and his ability to distribute. His tackling was good. His clearance work was good. I actually like the fact that they played him 48%, because that means that we were playing him, a bit more. Effectively he's in half of the centre bounces possible, and then the rest of the time he's either having a break on the bench or he's resting up forward or on the flank. And he's able to impact. And the way we're playing the game at the moment, we're obviously playing a lot of midfielders. So you got your Parker, your Simpkins, well, mostly Simpkin, really, playing forward, and then the others rotating through there, your Sheasel, your Powell, etc. So it means that we're really good at the stoppage because those players come into the centre, and it's working. We'll talk about Simpkin soon, but yeah, Powell. I just thought he was a lot more clean with ball in hand. He was able to distribute. He was able to have high impact from ball. Look, if he can play like that every week, he'll be an A-grade midfielder very quickly.
I was just looking at his time on ground, only 73%. Compare that to LDU, 87, Tristan Sherry, 85.
What was
Harry Sheasel, 18.
Do we have his time on ground for the first week available?
Oh, yeah, I'd probably have to look it up, but I don't have it with me.
The only reason I asked the question is I'm curious. In the first week, did we play him too much and he was just tired? Well, in this game, did we play him high impact, low, less time but higher impact maybe? It is an interesting one. It was lower. Yeah, it was lower. That's lower than I thought it would be.
Just on him, it looked like I watched him probably towards the end of the second quarter, and he seemed to be really tiring. Like, he seemed to be almost out of gas. He was really struggling.
I think they put a tag on him though as well, didn't they, in the second half? Like, they actually did put some defensive time into him.
Yeah, possibly, but he looked a little bit gassed. So, but he's 5 seasons into his AFL career. Maybe one more pre-season, and he'll be able to finish games, and he might even get to 35, 40. Who knows, touches when he's got games like that. But, look, fantastic game. I mean, the midfield in general were very dominant. LDU, 23 touches, team high, 7 tackles, 4 clearances. Luke Parker, 22 touches. Finished the game strong in the second half. Had 15 touches and 4 goal assists overall. Harry Sheasel, 28 touches, 8 turnovers. I wouldn't expect 8 turnovers through the course of a season with him. A couple of shockers as well. But the bar is very high for him. I'm loving his role, that he's getting a lot more midfield time and pushing forward. We still need the ball in his hands. He's still got a lot of class. And once he fixes those turnovers up, which will probably happen throughout the course of the year, this is going to be... Well, this has got signs, I should say. Not this is going to be. This has got signs to be a very dominant midfield. And that's what it should be, because we've built our team around this.
Well, that's exactly right. It was 81% last week, by the way, so it's a bit of a drop-off. But you can attribute that to it was a hot game last week. Look, I think, Sheasel, as I said, he's not playing as well as he was, and we're still playing good football. He did some really good things still, and we can't look over that. he is still really crucial and important to this team. Absolutely very crucial to this team because he just does smart things with it. Not necessarily things that you'll see statistically, just things around the ball which are clever. And his ability to be, dangerous up forward. So, I think Jimmy Bartell said that you could see it was the first. I think he said last night it was the first time that the midfield clicked, as in they all worked in unison with one another. And the other main thing was that they're all different to one another. He liked that. He said they were all bring their own different thing to it. You've got LDU, explosive from the contest, can break out, he can weave. You've got Powell, who can win the ball, he can extract the ball. He's clean with clean ball in hand, and this week he was clean with his kicking. You got Parker who runs in, bashes and crashes experience. You got Simpkin who pinch hits, who's got a great sidestep on him, who bashes and crashes. Sheasel goes in, he's smart. McKercher rolls into the stoppages, not into the centre bounce, but into the stoppages, and he's got blistering pace. And you've got Phillips, who I saw someone dropped a note on earlier, who plays a defensive effort and plays a defensive mid, especially in the first half. He just makes it a little bit more accountable. So you've just got all of these different types who are gelling well together. You add O'Sullivan at some stage who will flow through, and you add another dynamic again. So look, the good thing is that they're not all of the same type of player. You bring Wardlaw in, and arguably he's different to all of them again. So, it's very different. It's a very different midfield. You almost forget about Wardlaw, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. He's still got to come back in the team. He's about 3 or 4 weeks away. So he'll obviously build his fitness base in the reserves, but there's
you'd hope so. Yeah, no,
there won't be a rush.
No, I'd be bringing him back for at least a week in the reserves, get his fitness up, and then bring him back into the team. Bring him in, and then he probably takes the Phillips role at that point, depending on how people go over the next few weeks. So, it'll be interesting.
No, definitely. Pat came in. He says he loves Powell. I think we all love Powell now. Inflatable Cactus. Do we rest one of our fossils for Adelaide match?
Tank.
It's probably a bit early.
Tank.
Well, we can't tank because we don't have our first round. So, but it's probably a bit early for resting.
Well, what do you mean? There's a bye this week already. There's already been buys.
For some teams. Yeah, I know for some teams there is because they obviously played the opening round. The big one, obviously, in the midfield was Tristan Xerri. 20 disposals, 10 scoring involvements, 12 clearances, 29 hitouts, 85% disposal efficiency, 1 goal, and only 1 turnover, as opposed to Max Gawn, 11 disposals, 3 scoring involvements, 1 clearance, 27 hitouts, 55% disposal efficiency. I mean, he gave the midfield first use, and he is the star. He's a star of the competition right now, isn't he?
Oh, 100%. There's absolutely no way that you can look at him and not say that he is a premium ruckman in this competition. I mean, what else can you say about him? I mean, currently he is the highest ranked ruckman in the comp with Tom De Koning. They're number 1 and 2. And rightfully so, very different to one another, but in my mind, they're clearly the 2 best ruckmen in the competition. But you're talking about a ruckman here. I mean, Cherry's averaging 18.5 disposals a game. So, and he's averaging 14 contested possessions. And then we're talking about a guy who's got averaging 8.5 clearances. I mean, that's absurd numbers. So the thing I like about him is if of the contested ruckman, he's the highest when it comes to clearance, contested possession, etc. His ability to get around the ground, I think, is getting a bit better. He obviously scored a goal on the weekend, which means that he can drift forward and be a little bit more damaging, which is really good. He's ranked 2nd in the comp for score involvements of ruckman. So he gets involved, which I really like.
What else more can you say?
Oh, he's incredible. He's incredible. That arguably was his best game on the weekend. He's had some monster games, but that arguably was his best because Gawn is still a fantastic player. I mean, last week Gawn was fantastic.
No, that's
so, right. And I understand, look, Gawn might have some stuff going on at the moment. I understand that. But, I mean, he's still a good player, even if something's impacting him. And Tristan absolutely demolished him, the same as he demolished English. I think he's embarrassed two of what most people consider to be some top-line ruckman. He's embarrassed them.
No.
And he gets a
No,
chance at Riley O'Brien this week.
Yeah, which would be a good challenge for him as well. But I'd back him in 100%.
Oh, 100%.
How could you
100%.
not? Yeah, how could you not? Like you said, Baxcorn had a good first week against GWS.
Yeah, they didn't have a ruckman, but...
Yeah, he's still dominated. But it's a bit strange what's going on with him and Goodwin at the moment. So
yeah, I thought Goodwin's comments were a little bit weird. Why would you highlight if he has something going on? And apparently Damien, I was listening to Barrett this morning, and he alluded to people knowing what that is. I don't know why you'd bring it up in a press conference. I just don't know why you'd do it. But I think that's his Goodwin.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Maybe he's looking for a way out for him. Like sort of said, well, he didn't have as good a game. Maybe he's just got a lot of things going on. I'm not so sure. But he probably didn't have to say more than sort of say, yeah, he got outdone by Tristan Cherry. That's all he needs to say. You don't have to say anything else, talk about personal issues or anything like that. Because once you cross that white line, you're 100% fit. It doesn't matter if you've got a broken leg and all the mental issues that you may have or anything like that. Unfortunately, it is what it is, I guess. Now, a couple of players. Now, Will Phillips, he got subbed off again, playing a little bit as a small forward. I know it's had in the first quarter. Only had a few CBAs. Like you sort of said, probably played a bit of a sacrificial lamb in that midfield, doing the defensive work. I think he gets another week, but he might get squeezed out in the future. But right now, I think we just have a lot of better mids in a bit more form than him right now, and he's probably the most logical choice to get subbed out if you're going to get a runner in like a Dylan Stevens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the idea of having him in there and then him being the one who's subbed out when, like a runner comes in for the second half. Like that makes sense to me. I mean, what did he have? For the time he played, he had 10 disposals. He went at 80% disposal efficiency, 3 contested possessions.
6 tackles.
Yeah, 6 tackles. So, did his thing, loves to tackle. Didn't have any clearances, but, I mean, you could take that how it is. But you are right. From a tackles perspective, I mean, he was the second highest tackler on the ground. And he played, what? How much game time did we say?
57%. Yeah. 56, sorry. 56%.
So he played half the game effectively, and he was second on tackles. I think you need a player like that. Because no one else got close to him on tackle. It was just LDU who was better than him, of the North players. So you kind of need that for the first half of the game when it's really brittle. Because he will lay a tackle. It gives you a different option again. But I do agree. When Wardlaw comes back, the obvious one is probably a Phillips for Wardlaw coming in. I think that's the obvious one.
Yeah. Look, he had 46 pressure points according to Champion Data, which is the second most behind LDU. So he's doing a team things. Probably just needs to get his hands on the ball a little bit more and find another role. Like obviously trying him as a small forward, as a resting forward through that midfield. It would be nice for him to make a contribution there, but I'm not too worried about him just yet. Another player that's probably a little bit out of form as well is Colby McKercher. Pushed up to the wing at the start, which I liked, but only 17 touches, 53% disposal efficiency. Kicked a nice goal, but has started the season a little slow, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I think he's just finding his feet a little bit in terms of, his new, his role, his new position. I mean, look, he had the 1 goal assist and the 4 score involvement. So, I mean, that's decent. He had 10 pressure acts. So again, it's not too bad. Look, he'll be better for it. He just needs to continue playing this role higher up the ground. That wing. I love him off the wing. Makes a lot more sense to me. I'd be playing him on the wing. Get him to learn it. I think it makes a massive difference. Look, again, he's probably started slower than most of us thought he would. But he's not getting midfield time. He's playing, positions that he hasn't played before, and he's learning them. And I think he's doing a decent job doing that.
No, that's right. There's no concerns there, is there? Or anything like that? No, zero. I mean, he was getting 30 on touches a game last year, but he's playing the back line.
Impact.
So So look, he's just got. But I like him running towards goal rather than running with his back
100%
against goal. Yeah, he just looks more dangerous, and his skills will come. Yeah, missed a couple of targets, but that happens. I think everyone's missing targets at the moment, even Harry Sheasel. So, yeah, that'll be fine. Couple comments coming in here. Inflatable Cactus has come in as soon as I light this up. How many times have we watched the Foss spin?
Oh, he loves it, doesn't he? He's a ballerina. Does it twirl.
Yeah.
He loves
no,
it.
He does. Yeah, Patrick said Max ruined his Supercoach team. So, yeah, that happens.
And that's why you just need Trish and Jerry.
Yeah, just pay the cash for one of your own.
You pay up.
No, that's exactly right. Now, forward line, and this forward line, I mean, it's so efficient this year, Jesse. It hasn't been this efficient. We had less inside 50s than Melbourne.
Yeah.
I think it was 56 to 53, so only a couple less. But Zerha kicking 4 this week. Curtis kicked with 3. Larky with 3. Darling with 2. There's a good spread. There's so much potency in that forward line. Like I haven't seen since the Carey days of 90s.
Where do we start? I mean, who do we start with?
I don't know what else to say. Who do you start with?
Look, I'm going to start. I think there's 2 I want to hyper focus on. I'll get to Darling, but one's Paul Curtis. 17.5 disposals. I don't know what he was getting last year, but 17.5 disposals is ridiculous for a small forward. 16.10 player rating, 92.5 Supercoach ball champion data points, 1 contested mark, which is pretty good, I'll add, per game. 4 tackles, 2 inside 50 tackles, and averaging 3 goals a game now. He in my mind right now, along with your Rankin and Rochellis, the elite small forwards in the comp. Even Corns made the point today. He goes, Paul Curtis is a serious player. He is a serious player. He is an elite talent.
Yeah, definitely.
He was also in the Jason Horne-Francis draft, so we can take some silver lining.
It was a much later pick than he was.
Even if he's still mates with Taron Thomas and stuff, but we'll glaze past that. He's an absolutely special talent, and he's doing some ridiculous stuff on the field. And the other one for me, midfield/forward, he's playing most of his time forward, is Jai Simpkin. I think
we have to talk about it.
Yeah, I think people are going to underrate his game. Yes, he went 55% by foot. His disposal overall was pretty good, I think we said, but it was 55 by foot. I'll give you, so I think I gave you some numbers before. So at the moment, he's got a 15.5 player rating, averaging 108.5 champion data points, 27 disposals, 11.5 contested, 6 clearances, 1 goal assist, 4.5 tackles from 28% CBAs. So I looked up today who at the moment, 2 games, 3 games, whatever anyone's played, who's averaging more than 25 disposals, 100 champion data points, 5 contested possessions, 1 goal assist. I had Saligo, Dawson, Simpkin, Merritt, Bailey Smith. Now, Bailey Smith's only played the 1 game. Interestingly, he was 26.5% forward, very similar role. Plays forward and then comes into the contest. The fact that Simpkin is averaging 27 disposals and 11.5 contested with 6 clearances a game as a forward, playing a quarter of the game as a midfielder, effectively, is insane. I understand people have a go at his kicking, and yes, his kicking is his kicking.
Erratic.
It is erratic. But his attack on the contest, I have loved what he has done as captain the past 2 weeks. I've absolutely loved it. Even last week against the Doggies, he went in for that patch. I think it was the second quarter, went into that patch, and he arrested momentum back off them. The thing I like is that he is actually making he's making a good fist of playing forward. Like he kicked 1 goal, 1 on the weekend, could have had 2. He kicked 1 in the previous game. He had 1 goal assist, and he had 1 goal assist the week before. So he's actually scoring, and he's helping others score. He's tackling. He's moving into the contest. He's winning a lot of the ball. I think it's just very underrated what he's doing. I'd put him in. I would go as far as saying he's our best player on the field at the moment. And there's a lot of really good players, but those numbers and his impact when Melbourne and the Dogs were in charge, and there were periods in this game where Melbourne looked pretty good in the midfield. If you watch one of our games, he'll come into the midfield when it looks like the others are being beaten up a little bit, and he just hits the contest. I'm absolutely loving what he's doing as captain. I'm absolutely loving it. I actually think how he's playing the first 2 weeks is better than he played when he won Best and Fairest awards.
Oh, I agree with that.
Because he won a lot of the ball, but didn't do a lot with it. At the moment, he's winning the ball and he's doing a lot with it, as in up forward. So I'm loving his game at the moment. Geez, who else in the forward line? I think, I said to you before we joined, look, Jack Darling, we've got to talk about because he's done more than we ever thought he was going to do. We were real skeptical about him. We were very skeptical when we were coming into the season. If he's not in this team, there's no way that Larky's leading the Coleman at the moment. There's no way that Zurha has had 20,000 shots on goal. And let's put it this way. If he kicked straight last week, we win. He's on top of the Coleman right now. Yeah. It'll be him and Larky. But he'll be ahead of Larky. He kicked 1-4 last week and he kicked 4-1. Did he yesterday? I think.
Yeah. So he's kicked 5-5.
He could have kicked. Yeah, it's pretty insane. And Paul Curtis, he's kicked 6 goals. So the rest of the forward line doesn't score if he's not there. His defensive ability up forward is great. His body work is fantastic. His contested marking is good. You said it before. We've had good luck getting old forwards in and turning him into something. It is Jared Waite 2.0. He has, in my opinion, had the biggest impact of the 3 we brought in, and I think they've all had impacts in different ways.
Impacts, yeah.
And even Parker, I think, had a good game on the weekend in terms of his ability to do some smart things, win the contest. You could see him directing players at times. I think they've all had an impact. But Jack Darling's impact seems to be just substantially higher than anyone ever thought it was going to be. So massive kudos to him. The forward line is exciting to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're putting on scores, and we get scoring shots. The last 3 weeks, even the West Coast game, what do we kick about 9 goals, 17?
And in testing conditions with a strong wind, so half the game you can't score because the wind's going 20 kilometres that way. So we've been absolutely able to score. I think the thing for me is as well, if you look at the sheer numbers, you'd be saying, Hansen Jr. and Constanti aren't really doing much because statistically. To the eye, though, they're doing some big things. They are doing some really important things. Whoever decided that Hansen Jr. should play up the ground as opposed to playing in the forward line, who is that coach? Because give them a medal right now.
He's playing on the wing, a lot.
This is a bloke who I never rated. And we ended the season and I said, I'm not sure about him. We all know I said that. Mark, obviously, big fan of him as a forward. He hasn't ticked the boxes as a forward. He's actually moved up to the wing, and he does smart things with it on the weekend. He was able to break 2 tackles. There was that handball chain down the wing where he gave it to someone, got it back, gave it over, where we just hugged the boundary past 5 Melbourne guys, and it was incredible. He's really clever. His kicking's good. So I liked him being up the ground. And Constanti, I mean, he kicked that wonderful goal, which I think is really good for him. But he adds a different dynamic. I mean, people I saw a few things saying, he only had the 6 pressure acts, the 2 tackles, etc. But I think it's more than that. He does a bit of I just think he adds a different dynamic, adds a bit of pressure. He's getting limited game time. That's probably the only thing with him.
Yeah, 55%. Hansen Jr. 55% for Constanti and 73 for Hansen Jr.
It is probably a bit low for what you want to see from a player on the field, but they're probably hedging their bets that between him and Phillips, you're going to sub one of them, depending on what you need. But I wouldn't change him out of the team at the moment. I would keep him in for his pressure because there's not someone else that you would bring in. The only one at some stage is if you're only going to pay him 55%, you're better off playing a Dersma, so then you have another attacking option at goal. And to be fair, Dersma in our forward line at the moment would probably kick an absolute bag. So, the forward line. What else can you say? And that's a real surprise, isn't it? Because it's been a problem for so long, and all of a sudden we add another key forward who actually has experience, and look what happens.
Yeah, I can't remember a team not taking an intercept mark against us last 2 weeks. I can't remember a play where a player took an intercept mark. Everything goes to ground. If you got Jack Darling there, everything seems to go to ground. He doesn't get outmarked or anything like that, and it just helps with Nick Larkey as well, because last year he was the focal point. I'd like to see his stats because he was the most targeted forward for the last 3 years, Nick Larkey. So I don't know how.
I'm just looking it up. I can't see contested intercepts. I can see intercept marks. So if I look at intercepts, Melbourne had a few, but Lever 3, Perry 3, McDonald 2, Bowie 2. But I don't know what they're classing as being a intercept mark. So, and I think you've got to take into account as well that the week before, Rory Lobb's a bit of an intercept machine. He had the 6, O'Donnell the 6. They intercepted a lot more in the first week, but I think that had a lot more to do with we just weren't gelling, and the ball entry, the entry wasn't as good. This week, I don't know if you noticed it was one of the things that I think it was a mix of the midfielders being a lot more effective, but also they were still dump kicking the ball. There was still, there was a lot of pin passing, but there was a lot of dump kicking the ball. But it's like the forwards knew where the ball was going to be dump kicked. So it was almost like they said, look, that's fine. We know you're going to get the ball out and you're going to pump it forward, but do it in a certain way. It was almost like whenever they did it, it didn't just go over the heads to a Bulldogs defender or another defender. It actually went to a contest. And like you said, we brought it to ground. Because, to the eye, I think this week against Melbourne, who I would say have a better defence than the Dogs, I think that we looked much better at keeping them accountable.
Yeah, they miss Stephen May at the moment.
Oh, of course, but I mean they've still got Lever and Lever and.
Well, he got injured too. I think.
Petty, he did got a bit sore on the ankle, didn't he?
Yeah, he rolled his ankle apparently. So, Harrison Petty's he's not the same player he was a couple of years ago.
No. Yeah, I wonder if he wishes he took those millions of dollars and went to Adelaide.
Well, the club didn't want him to go. So at the time, I didn't blame him because he showed a lot of potential a couple of years ago. So,
I did.
But unfortunately, not fortunately for us, more so that he's not the same player he was. But Costanti doing almost Tom Papley celebrations every time, with that goal, and sometimes he does it when another player kicks a goal as well. But look, he's playing a role for the team, which is important at the moment. We'll go to defensive player of the week. Now, there's a lot of options here. I'm not too sure if you've got one at the moment, but I've got one.
Yeah, you go first.
I've gone Luke Davies-Uniacke this week.
Seven tackles.
7 tackles and highest pressure points in the team. He was very good in the middle, in the clinches. And he's not a player that's renowned for his defensive work, but I thought his defensive work was really good. So I'll give it to him this week. What about yourself?
It'd be a bit of a piss take if I said Charlie Coleman, aren't I?
Well, he's right up there.
I mean, it's hard to go past him. I just think, after last week, he was being savaged by supporter group. He missed 2 early intercepts. Could have gone to ground and, become pretty flat. He gave up a goal by missing one, but then he just turned into Alex Rance. Well, I never rated Alex Rance, to be fair, but
Darcy Moore or something.
Yeah, or someone. Moore. Yeah. He just was marking everything. Look, he probably was mine just because of what he was able to do. But I don't think, I think it probably is him, but I'm proud of our defence overall. I think everyone was really, really good defensively. You are right.
Well, look, McDonald, I suppose, should get a shout out for his job on Bailey Fritsch. He's certainly up there. Tucker was quite solid.
So there's an interesting one for me. I'm going to ask you a question. Zach Fisher now had 4 million touches. And he looked solid. He looked solid with ball in hand and probably defensive, albeit it's the seconds, so he's way too talented for that. Would you consider, and I know they don't want to change a winning team, but would you consider bringing Fisher in for Tucker?
Well, they're never going to drop Darcy Tucker, so it's probably not going to happen. Look, down the track, I'll definitely consider it because I still think I'd like another runner. Just to help out Caleb Daniel.
Well, I'm just thinking.
So.
Well, that's exactly right. I'm just thinking this week in particular. So you're going to have Rochelle, you're going to have Rankin.
Yeah.
Who goes to them? McDonald has to
He'll
go
go
to
to
one
one.
of them.
Yeah.
Probably Rochelle. He's not as quick as Rankin. Who the heck is going to Rankin?
Yeah, that's a tough matchup, isn't it?
That would be. You'd probably give that to Archer if he was playing, but
just maybe Finn O'Sullivan might even get him. Who
oh
knows?
god.
Darcy Tucker will get one.
Well, that's the thing. Do you put
Yeah.
McDonald on Rankin and if Tucker
Oh,
on
look,
to?
the good thing about McDonald, we'll give you everything he's got.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just that's gonna that. I mean, I don't even know where you start with the forward line. So, because the thing is as well, someone's gonna have to play on Curtin.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's playing on a wing, isn't he? And then
drifting forward.
Yeah.
So, the only one for me, from a changes perspective, would be potentially Fisher, just because of his speed. I probably see more upside in Fisher than I do Tucker. That's just my opinion. Not to say that I thought Tucker did a bad job. I mean, I don't know what numbers.
No, he was quite solid. Yeah, yeah.
His player rating was pretty good. So I mean, he did a few things right.
Yeah,
I just didn't see them.
Yeah, he played mainly on Spargo, I noticed, who's not a quick player himself. Look, it would have been a different challenge if we had Isaiah Pickett playing on the weekends. Yeah.
I mean, he went 81% disposal efficiency.
Yeah, which is fine. 16 touches.
Yeah, 4 of those contested. He had, I thought he was okay, but I'd probably rather Zach Fisher in the team. And when Archer is due to come back, I'd probably have Archer come in for Tucker.
Yeah. Oh, look, we'll worry about that, I suppose, in a few weeks' time. So, yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. Because at least there's pressure for selection at the moment, because there is a couple of players on the fringes. I mean, we might as well go to the reserves now. We've covered the win and all in all its glory. They got away with a draw after a tough start to the game. I mean, we should have been about 7 goals down at quarter time. But I think a couple of players did okay. I think Hardiman did well across half back. Will Dawson had a good second half, a few intercepts. Ford looked dangerous. I keep frothing over Ford at the moment, but yeah, he looked quite solid. Finbar Melly, he's kicking at goal. He looks like he's got a routine now, Jesse. He was quite first half, but he marks a spot on the ground, and it seems to work for him. He kicked 2 goals. But unfortunately,
I think I gave him a clip when Mark asked us how it's going, and I said he looks massively out of it, and then all of a sudden he just went crazy.
Yeah, Patrick's coming. Actually, he sort of said it will be Phillips go out for Fisher if anyone. So,
well, I think that's it's a possibility at some stage.
Unfortunately, my boy Geordie Payne, with 30 seconds left, just needed a score. Jesse, 30 metres out, he decided to snap it out on a full. Yeah, not his finest moment, was it?
Yeah, no, not really. That was disappointing.
Yeah, it was. But...
Unfortunately, very disappointing.
Yeah, it was. But did you notice anything else out of that game? I mean, you watched pretty much all of it. So.
Yeah, I did. I watched pretty much the whole game. Look, I liked Fisher's game. I like Hardiman's game. I think he's too talented to be not in the side. The thing is with Finbar, if I'm Finbar, I'm spending all my time with Jack Darling. I'm spending all night. I'm sleeping at his house. I'm learning every single thing I can from him, because Darling is gonna not play every game. If he does, it would be incredible. And you're gonna need someone to come in who can play a contested brand of football. Now, Callum Cole-Jones will come back at some point. He's almost a missing man. I've almost assumed that he's not part of the list anymore. But someone at some stage needs to take that contested role.
Yeah, I still give a little bit of a lifeline to CCJ. I still think there's a player there, but it's going to be hard coming from an Achilles. That's for sure. He'll obviously have to take a pay cut from what he's gotten over the last 5 years. But, yeah, I think there's a player there.
Oh, I think so. 100% there is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of depth in it, in the reserves. Did you like Zane Dersman's game? He was fairly quiet, only had 12 touches. Was playing predominantly midfield, I noticed.
Yeah, it was an interesting game from him. Look, I thought we were going to play a bit better than we did, and we're probably just
so
getting.
do I.
I think we're just getting used to it, to be honest. Dersman's game. I thought he worked himself into it. I'm glad that he didn't play the whole game as a midfielder, because that's the last thing we realistically need at the moment.
I don't mind him developing there, to be honest with you, over the next 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But yeah, was there any takeouts to the game that you thought were, worth mentioning, or?
No, not really. I mean, the first half, I thought Melbourne dominated.
It should have been significantly higher.
Yeah, I mean, we're only 1 point down somehow. And the second half, I thought we controlled the game as much as we could. Probably a little bit more than Melbourne did, and probably should have got away with the win in the end. Especially at three-quarter time, I think the scores were level, and we had a 2 or 3 goal breeze, and we just didn't take advantage of it. And you should have pinched it at the end with Geordie Payne. But outside of that, I don't think there's much else that could possibly push for selection this week. I didn't see much. I like Hardiman's game, but I don't think he's coming in. Fisher probably need another week.
Adam Tomlinson.
Yeah. Oh, look, he's
24 touches,
he'll be good for that level.
10 fantasy points. I think he'll play a good role in the seconds. I mean, Darcy McPherson was pretty
he's
good
a good player too for that level.
I think, look, the good one for me was Whitlock. So I think it's worth giving him a bit of a mention. So 20 disposals. I've got his numbers here because Willow Stats now does VFL ratings as well, which is great. So he had 81 fantasy points, 20 disposals, went at 90% disposal efficiency. Kicking was 45, but I mean, most that is what it is. He had 3 rebounds, 8 contested possessions out of his 20. So, he was crashing in for it. He had the 9 marks. One of them was contested because he was kind of playing that intercept Charlie Comden role. I was really happy with his game.
Patrick Allwood, he came with what about Bergman? He didn't play because he was match game emergency. So.
He was, which was a bit of a shame.
Yeah, so he didn't play.
But I mean, Hardman, 18 disposals.
A couple of nice intercepts.
I
uses
like
the ball generally pretty well.
Yeah, I thought so. I like what he does with it. I think the other one obviously is Eddie Ford had the 18 disposals. Did some nice things with it, I thought, at times.
Pushed up the ground a little bit. I think he's a class above that level. If he was playing that forward line now, Jesse, in the last 2 weeks, he probably would have had 5 or 6 goals.
Well, that's the thing is, Zane Dersma could have easily, if he was in our team at the moment, he'd probably score a fair bit.
Yeah, you were saying that, yeah.
But look, I think with Dersma, you can tell that he just had that injury and it knocked him a bit like Will Dawson. I think they'll be better for the run of it. They just need a few games in the seconds to build up their confidence, their fitness, and then they're 2 players that I'd hope at some stage will be able to push into the team. Dersma probably quicker than Dawson.
Yeah, I mean, handy players to have if we do get injuries in the next few weeks or suspensions, which happen to an AFL list, you can sort of get those players in.
Yeah.
Which is good to see. Outside of that, Taylor Goad went back to almost Jacob Edwards of last year. Jesse, he gave away some stupid free kicks.
He's had a weird. It's almost like those AFL practice games screwed him. He was really good, and then he had those AFL practice games. He had an elite preseason. He dominated Jerry in the Interclub, and then maybe Jerry was just toying with him. I don't know, but he's got a lot of work to do still.
Yeah, he's shown right in his career off.
But we've seen his highlights. I mean, he's not a player who's going to play AFL this year.
No, unless it's very later in the year, and he shows a lot more than we're showing.
Yeah.
He's still.
I think he's just got a lot to do in development. But there's a player there. People should be excited.
Matt Whitlock, you talk about him. He's just got to fill out a bit more, doesn't he? He looks very raw out there, and I think that's what the club are doing. They're probably just going to develop him this year, I don't think he
Yeah.
gets a game.
No,
I think
no.
if any of those back three come in, it'll probably be Will Dawson.
Yeah, I think Will Dawson's built up now. It's just getting the fitness up. The thing with Whitlock that I think North fans can say is that you can tell that he's got high footy IQ.
Yeah.
He's very smart. He gets in the right positions. He'll be a great interceptor. He's a natural defender for mine, not a forward. I like him. I like what I see with Matt Whitlock. I think that the thing is you would need to build up a bit of size, but if he can have a good season, good off season, I think he could be someone who comes in as soon as next year and play a bit of a role. Because I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
Core is getting there. You know,
He's
you've got
32 now.
so you got a couple defend. You know, Logue, obviously injured a fair bit. I think there's at some stage, you're going to have to move a Whitlock or a Dawson into the team.
No, definitely. Now we'll go past the reserves. Adelaide Crows this week haven't won at Adelaide Oval ever. Are we a chance, Jesse? Geez, they look good though. It looks a bit scary.
They're look. I watched. I was lucky enough to have a bit of free time this weekend, so I watched a fair bit of the football. I love what Adelaide are doing with it. It annoys me a little bit how quickly they fast tracked their redevelopment. Obviously, they were a team that we thrashed back in our last biggest win was against Adelaide in 2020. But they are seriously impressive. I genuinely, I think I actually like them as an AFL team. Like I like watching them play. They play exciting brand of football. They've got some really good players. They don't have any tosses. Like you got clubs out there got a player that is shit you. Adelaide, I just like how they go about it. I've always liked Darcy Fogarty. I thought he was going to become a player. Everyone had written him off. Now I love what he's doing. Texas kicking goals. You've got really Riley Thilthorpe, who is the perfect example of what a Whitlock should do. He was skinny, looked like people were saying after his first season he was a write-off after his first 2 years. He was the 2020 draft with Phillips and stuff. Number one pick.
He was pick two, wasn't he? Or
pick one. They took him and then we bid on Jamara.
Yeah.
And then took Phillips. But you could be Essendon who took Perkins, Cox, and Reid. So, and then we took Power 5 picks later. So, look, they're really, really impressive football team. You are right. We're confident. So I'm keen to see how we go against them. I hope it doesn't blow our confidence out. I think Essendon showed something though. You can score against them. Essendon still put 100 points on them. So that says to me that their defense still needs a bit of work. And the good teams will probably beat them because they can still be scored against and they'll stop them from scoring against them. There's a part of me that goes, do we just make it a shootout and try and score as much as them? That's probably what Essendon did and it didn't work. Do we flood the back line and just try and make it a low possession game? I'd probably go to our strengths. Just try and win the contest, beat them around the contest, do what Essendon did. We know that they can be smashed at the contest because they did on the weekend. We just need to deliver the ball. We can score against them. I still think they will win, and I think they're deliberate. Over in Adelaide, they should absolutely be favourites. But we get one win under the belt, and all of a sudden, this optimism, this spike of optimism that says, well, maybe. I would honestly be happy if we lost by less than 5 goals.
I think, look, if you asked me 7 days ago, Jesse, I probably would say, geez, we can keep within 10 goals. But now, look, we've got...
If we lost by more than 40 points, I'd be really disappointed. I just think...
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. 100%.
It's good to be like that now,
I know some North fans are going to say that's silly, we should aim for a win every week, but we're going to be realistic as well, that we're playing a team that I think is around the 8, if not top 8, who is in really good form, playing them at home in a ground that we don't play well. So we're going to take all of that into account. If we can lose by... Can we win? Yes, I think we can win. Will we win? Well, let's wait and see. If we're good enough, we'll win.
Yeah, I mean, the Crows haven't been challenged yet, really.
No.
I mean, we talk about Essendon. No, they seem like they're a one-way team.
They can't defend.
No, they can't defend anything.
My Essendon mate today says, we're the old new North Melbourne. I said, well, it's almost like you got 28 ex-North Melbourne staffers to the club.
Yeah.
They cannot defend to save their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, I think we can win. I think we can win. I think it's going to be a struggle, but I'm hoping that we can maintain confidence going into the game the week after against the Swans at Marvel. Because I think that's a winnable game. That sounds weird saying, but I think that's winnable.
Yeah, look, they've been very competitive. The Swans, they've been in close games, but yeah, look,
Against good teams, all that as well. I mean,
yeah, of course,
Hawthorn,
Brisbane,
and Fremantle, who I think haven't started well, but I think are a good team. So, yeah, look, it's a shame we didn't win last week because then I think we'd be much more likely to be on for that 6 to 8 win mark. I still think that we can win 6 to 8 games this year, and that should be the pass mark for mine.
Oh, I think we can win about 16 now, Jesse. So after that performance, yeah. But no, look, it'll be a good challenge. I don't mind playing against teams like that now. So.
It's going to be a tough year as well to pick. I mean, last week you've got St Kilda being absolutely embarrassed. They come out and beat Geelong. You've got, Port Adelaide obviously got embarrassed. They came back and rolled Richmond Shore. It's just it's a weird year in terms of I can see any club winning on their day.
Yeah, it's been a weird first couple of weeks. Yeah, well, they beat Carlton, so yeah. There's already a few teams under the pump at the moment, and we're not one of them, which is good to hear. Only good things to say about us at the moment, which is good. So hopefully this can continue, Jesse, for a long time.
That'd be nice.
But, yeah, go on.
I was going to say it'd be nice if we were here in a week's time having the same conversation. I mean, that would be incredible. But even if we're here and we just go, I was really proud of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Jesse, did you want anything else before I let you go?
No, I'm all good, mate. I'm just going to go celebrate now.
Yeah, I've
worn this since the game. Oh, I've already watched the replay. Don't worry about that. I'm going to be living on this for the next 12 months.
Yeah. Well, look, I think there's more performances to come. There's definitely signs here. So.
100%. I think the last thing I'll say, and this is probably an interesting one. I think pre-COVID, I used to watch every of the football shows, like 360 on the couch. I used to be obsessed with them. I said to my wife earlier, I go, you know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to watch on the couch and I'm going to watch 360. And I remember her saying to me last year, why don't you watch any of the footy shows? She goes, it just surprises me because you love football. And I said, I used to, but I just can't do it anymore because being in the situation we've been in for 5+ years, you don't want to think about football when it's outside of the weekend. Because it's not an escape anymore. It's not enjoyable. For most of the last 5 years, it's not been enjoyable. So I don't really care at this stage about wins and losses. I know that sounds silly. I just want the game to be in. It was like when we went through that patch losing to Collingwood, Melbourne last year, those 2 games. I can accept that.
Yeah.
But I need to go to a game and find the game enjoyable. And the last 2 weeks, frustrating the first week, but still enjoyable in terms of our ability to compete. So, I mean, that's the main thing for me. I think that's the main thing for North supporters. We just want to have fun this year.
Yeah. And we're certainly showing signs. I mean, there's a big difference between winning Ross Lyon teams from winning 65 to 55 or something like that, as opposed to winning 120 to 100.
Yeah, we're going to put scores 100. On.
Yeah, which is good. We're putting cricket scores on, so we're certainly playing some good football. Long may it continue. Jesse, thanks so much for coming on tonight. It was a much more positive podcast. How could it not be? I'm sure I'll chat to you next week, hopefully after another win.
Thank you.
And thank you to all you listeners as well. We'll be back on Thursday again, go through the teams, preview the Adelaide Crows. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all that fun stuff. Tell your mates, whoever about it. That's it from me. Bye for now, and go Roos. Yeah, that was a lot more fun, Jesse. So,
very different.